We have special guests with us. Max Blumenthal is here. He's the award-winning journalist, as well as the editor-in-chief of The Gray Zone. He's also a best-selling author of several books, including Goliath, The 51-Day War, and The Management of Savagery. Please welcome back to the show, Max Blumenthal. Hi, Max.
Hey, Jimmy.
So now we had on RFK Jr., and he started coming at me with a lot of stuff about Israel. You know, like he went back to the Ottoman Empire and stuff. And so he starts overwhelming me, and I was easy for him to go right through. But I got him to agree to do an interview with you because you're the guy to talk to him about this, not me. It's not my wheelhouse. I'm more of a Russiagate, Syria, Ukraine kind of a Libya kind of a guy. Venezuela too. I'll take it. But anyway, so here's what happened.
And find out what the justification. And I love Max Blumenthal, but I do not think he's objective on Israel. I think his reporting on Israel is not it needs to be questioned.
So now exactly what Peter Hotez did to him and Joe Rogan, which he's publicly saying you're wrong about stuff. So then Joe Rogan said, let's have the debate. Hotez. Yep. And RFK Jr., and everybody's all for it. People put up hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even $1 million. And so now he did the exact same thing that Peter Hotez did to him. So now he's calling into question your facts publicly. And so I think, the very least, is that you're a journalist. He's running for president. He's going to question your facts. You're one of the leading guys on this. That he should sit down for an interview. That's the least he should do, or else he's going to be seen as pulling a Hotez. And so that's what I said to him. Okay, well, here's what I would ask. Just like, you know, Peter Hotez ducked you and Joe Rogan, I would love, because Max is the guy to talk to about this, not me. So would you do an interview with Max, because he would be able to talk to you about this way better than I can. I'm really not good at this.
Yeah, I would love to talk to Max.
Yeah, I mean, Max is a great guy. So he said I would love to talk to Max. Now Max
sounds sincere,
he sounded sincere. I think RFK Jr. is a sincere guy. So Max, you have an update to this story, correct? Somebody from your team talked to his communications director.
Well, this is all reported in the article at The Gray Zone. So there's nothing since I reported yesterday at The Gray Zone that the RFK Jr. 2024 campaign has backtracked and blocked any engagement, public engagement between me and him for the foreseeable future. And they won't exactly say why, except that they will only debate now Joe Biden. Which is interesting, as you said, Jimmy, because back in June, he was enthusiastic to debate Peter Hotez, who is not a Democratic presidential candidate. I mean,
at all. So,
I put in a request for an interview with him early on in the campaign, before he had been so voluble about the Israel issue and was just spouting Likudnik propaganda at events sponsored by fanatical ultra-Zionist operatives like Shmuley Boteach. Before that even happened, I put in a request and I was put in the icebox. So, I'm not a bad faith actor. I'm not supporting Joe Biden. I'm not coming at him as an enemy. I was coming at him as someone who sympathizes with a lot of his positions on Ukraine, on the pandemic. I really enjoyed his book on Tony Fauci. He knows me personally. So but the situation's changed. His communications director, Stephanie Spear, was just very adamant that he would not talk to me. And,
go. So I have an update on this story, right? So, because that would look bad. And if I was advising the RFK Jr. campaign, which I am not, I would say that it's better to you to have an interview with Max that you think you're going to look bad in than to duck it, because then you look just as Weasley as the people who have been smearing and sliming you for 15 years straight. You look just as Weasley as Hotez, and that's a loser. It would be better for you to go take your lumps over Israel, continue to defend them for whatever reason you're doing that, and then go on with your campaign. Go take your lumps and move on. But if you duck it, now you're just as bad as the people who distracted against you, and now it's that's a right. But update, he texted me, and he said I'm going to do an interview with Max. So I don't know. So we'll see. He said that on my show first. Then they said they weren't, and now he's saying they're going to do it again. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I'm skeptical right now because that they ducked it at first. What do you think? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, this is just, first of all, from a point of view of a communication strategy, this is very confusing, and it's not what you want to see from a campaign that's raising lots of money and is, presenting itself as serious. You want a coherent communication strategy. His comms director is saying one thing, he's saying another to you privately. So I hope they can get on message. And I think that they should talk to me because he should put his money where his mouth is. He said my reporting needs to be questioned. So come on the Gray Zone, or we can find another forum and question my reporting.
I agree. I agree. That's the way when you make a public accusation like that, just like Peter Hotez did, you got to be willing to back it up. And
my reporting is, spending years reporting from inside occupied Palestine, from the Gaza Strip, occupied East Jerusalem, the occupied West Bank, and from inside Jewish Israeli society, culminating with my book Goliath. I covered the 2014 Israeli military assault on the Gaza Strip, which saw entire neighborhoods destroyed, 551 women and children killed. I sat with the families of the victims, co-produced a documentary and directed and wrote it called Killing Gaza, which is online. Everyone could see it. If Robert Kennedy Jr. is watching now, he should watch that before engaging with me, because I don't think he's considered the position of Palestinians who've been living through this nightmarish cavalry of occupation, ethnic cleansing for over 70 years. And I've written a book about it, The 51-Day War. And so I think I'm qualified to represent a position which needs to be represented by a presidential candidate who actually does want to unite all Americans and represent this country instead of a foreign apartheid government and its lobbying cutouts in the United States. Bobby Kennedy has appointed or has said that his Israel director is Morton Klein from the Zionist Organization of America, someone who refers to Palestinians as filthy Arabs. How is that uniting Americans? There are many Arabs and Palestinians in the United States who want to have their voices heard too. How is it representing them when he's denying that Palestinians ever suffered ethnic cleansing, that they've ever suffered under the Israeli military? He has denied that the Israeli military occupation even exists. It's what he was saying on your show offended me. But if he's willing to engage with me in good faith, we can still have a civil conversation. He can question my reporting, and I can point out where I believe he's wrong with facts, and I will marshal my reporting to do that. Okay, so apparently they've changed their tune and they're willing to have an interview with you. So I think that is a great decision on the RFK Jr. campaigns to depart. It's a great decision. If you're going to speak out and so strongly on Israel, and if you're going to, I would even say slander the Palestinians the way he did. It was yes. Slander, yes. Calling them all terrorists who live in Jenin. And so you have to be willing to back that up. You can't that's what Peter Hotez does. He calls everybody, you're a Russian, you're a white supremacist. This is all disinformation from MAGA. He won't back it up. So you can't do that. Yeah. I mean, you can do that, but then, you lose everything. Right? It'd be much better for him to do the interview, take his lumps, and move on with his campaign. The idea that you can disqualify, we have to disqualify Max because he said some anti-Semitic things before. Well, that's what people said about RFK Jr. too. So should nobody ever have a conversation with you because someone's called you anti-Semitic? So
So I would be. It would be very disappointing if the RFK Jr. campaign tried something like that said, "Hey, Max has said anti-Semitic things, and we don't sit down with people who are anti-Semitic." Well, they say you're anti-Semitic. So this is another it's another Hotez moment. You can't be the thing you're claiming to be better than, and then when you become the thing that you claim to be better than, then there's no point to you. So go ahead, Max. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so many people have supported Bobby because they see him as someone with integrity, someone who's rising above the filth of American politics. And ever since he's taken on this extreme Likudnik pro-Israel position, he has delved into the filth of American gutter politics, calling Ilhan Omar an anti-Semite, like just the way that he's been branded an anti-Semite. Surrounding himself with people like Morton Klein or Shmuley Botia, who used the millions of the late ultra-Zionist oligarch Sheldon Adelson to take out a full-page ad branding me an anti-Semite in the New York Times and painting me ridiculously as Hillary Clinton's secret Middle East advisor. I mean, these are the people that are just going to take your integrity and wipe their asses with it. These are not men of integrity. These are people who are funded by Sheldon Adelson because their operations were falling apart because of financial fraud. I mean, if he wants to rise above it, what he will do is not just talk to me, a Jewish American who has become an anti-Zionist through my own experience of what I've seen in Israel-Palestine and how I was lied to as, in my youth, being raised in Jewish communal life and just seeing all the lies in the Israel propaganda. He will also sit down with Palestinians, as I did, and hear their experiences of ethnic cleansing. I sat in the living room in Gaza City of the Shamali family in 2014 as they sobbed openly and showed me video of an Israeli sniper shooting their brother and son, Salim Shamali, as he searched for his wounded cousin in the ruins of the Gaza neighborhood of Shujaiya, which Israel had destroyed. He went with a team of volunteer rescuers, waded into the rubble to the destroyed home where he thought his wounded cousin was, and he was shot in the legs by an Israeli sniper deliberately. He had no weapons. There was nothing identifying him as a militant. And then he crumpled to the ground and called for help, and the sniper shot him again and again. It's all on camera. Anyone can watch this. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can watch this killing. And I sat with his family and heard about that, and their testimony is conveyed in the documentary I co-produced, Killing Gaza. He needs to have that experience too. He needs to see the apartheid wall that surrounds the Christians of Bethlehem, who are the descendants of the disciples, the Anastos family, who had their home completely surrounded with a wall. What did they do to deserve that? The Christian community of Bethlehem is being purged from the birthplace of Jesus. And has he ever been there? Has he heard from them? No, he's surrounding himself with people who spout genocidal rhetoric about a stateless people who have suffered endlessly. Has he sat with Palestinian refugees in the Shatila camp like I have, who live sometimes 5 to 10 to a room? Their showers spout out salt water. They're doomed forever to be away from Palestine simply because they're not Jewish and they don't fit into the Jewish state? No. Has he even seen the remote-controlled machine gun that's mounted on the walls that surround the Gaza Strip, pointed at anyone who approaches those walls? It's controlled from kilometers away by an Israeli military unit that shoots anyone who has what they call a terrorist gait or walks like a terrorist. Just look at that remote-controlled machine gun when you walk into the Gaza Strip, then go talk to the people who are trapped there. Has he been on a fishing boat with Gaza fishermen who are being driven into ruin because they're not allowed to fish more than 3 kilometers out at sea from the Gaza Strip, like I have, where when we reached 3 kilometers after a pathetic catch of just some small fish, Israeli Navy boats approached and threatened to shoot everyone on board unless we turned back? No. And that is the essence of why he's been so susceptible to this divisive, inhuman propaganda that so many people that watch your show, Jimmy, have already have already transcended. And so I think if he's going to present himself as a peace candidate and someone who's rising above the filth of American politics, then he needs to consider the other side on this issue. And so it's not just about questioning my reporting. It's about listening to Palestinians. That's something that I hope Robert Kennedy Jr. does as well as engage with me publicly.
Okay, well, he says he's going to, so that's really good news. That's really good news, right? So he says he's going to, and I hope he does it before the first primary. Because if he waits till after a bunch of primaries, then that's kind of not the point of this. Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.